Tembisa residents have taken matters into their own hands, administering mob justice. That's after the rape of a 3-year-old who's recovering at Tembisa Hospital. She was left with broken hands after her ordeal. Newzroom Afrika's Sipha Kema is tracking that story for us. Sipha, tell us what's happened in that community of Ivory Park.
Well, Kathy, as you see, right now I'm actually outside the Ivory Park police station. And the reason for being here is that, of course, now, as you've mentioned, that the community of Ivory Park decided to take matters into their own hands after a 3-year-old was allegedly raped and abused by her stepfather. Now, of course, the community says that they did try to actually speak to the police station, to the police officers at Ivory Park, but they were met with hostility. They also say that, of course, after they saw the child running out on the street, the child was seen by a community member who then saw her hands that were left broken and, of course, the bruises on her hands as well, and asked her what had happened to her. Of course, the little 3-year-old then explained what she said, that her stepfather had allegedly beaten her up. It was only after the mother returned from work where they were able to actually see that this little girl had been raped, allegedly raped by her stepfather. They also said that this was not the first time. The little girl confessed that this was not the first time he had allegedly repeatedly raped her and, of course, beat her up as well, including the mother. So this, Kathy, is a case of gender-based violence and also a rape against the alleged rape of the 3-year-old. Now, Kathy, it said that the perpetrator, the accused, was actually arrested on Saturday, and he was later released on the same day. So hence why the community decided to take the law into their own hands. They say they feel as though they've been failed by the Ivory Park police station, where they came after they heard that the perpetrator was actually released, and they came to ask for answers and demand answers here. But no one would give them those answers. So they decided to take matters into their own hands and also seek justice for the alleged rape of the child.
Let's speak then about what they've done. Were they able to find this suspect?
They were able to find the suspect, Kathy. The suspect was actually found by the child's father, who was following the child's mother, as it said that the stepfather allegedly stalks this woman on her way to work and her way home. So that's when he decided to actually follow her back home, the biological father, that is, and that's when he saw the alleged perpetrator actually following the mother. That's when he was able to actually grab him and also place him in the car, and he called the community and told the community that he had actually found him stalking the mother. That's when he was brought into the same street that they reside in. This is where it happened, when the community decided enough was enough, and they took matters into their hands. But the perpetrator managed to escape. Of course, he was given a beating by the community members. They're saying that they actually wanted to ensure they hurt him to a point where he cannot walk. So him being able to run and escape meant that he did not really feel anything, and the community did not get the justice they say they deserve. Well, the same father who was the one that brought him to the community felt pity for him and also followed him with his car, put him inside the car, and took him to a safer place that is far away from the angry mob.
So where is the suspect tonight?
Well, the suspect is currently in hiding, Kathy. I mean, the community is saying that they deserve answers. They have questions. The father himself says he has questions as to how someone who was arrested on Saturday with evidence that was shown with the child's, of course, bruises, in the private area, bruising in her hands. Her hands were also broken, and that was the only person that she was left with. And the child herself did confess to say that the stepfather had allegedly beaten her up and also did some gruesome things to her as well. So they want answers as to why they managed to actually release him. They also said, the father says him and the mother had actually gone to the court, to the magistrate's court, where they were waiting for this man to appear. but he did not appear. This is when actually they claimed that the man said he had bought the docket and the case. Some of his brothers had assisted him in, of course, evading the law and justice.
Of course, what also matters tonight are the whereabouts of this 3-year-old girl who's in hospital, and her mother, and the kind of support and assistance that they are receiving. What do we know about their conditions?
You know, Kathy, it is quite sad, and what we've saw, and of course talking to the father, who was really emotional, someone who blames himself because he was not living with the child. He lives in the inner city of Johannesburg, and the mother, of course, lived with the child here in Ivory Park, as well as with the husband, the new husband. And, you know, the father says he actually blames himself. He feels as though he did not do enough to protect his daughter. The mother is also distraught, but more than anything, Kathy, what this family is looking for is justice, as they feel as though that, of course, the justice system has actually let them down, as the man was able to follow this mother home from work and follow her to work as well, and also that he was able to come back to this same community where he's been accused of raping a 3-year-old, his own 3-year-old stepdaughter. You know, so Kathy, I mean, these are issues that we've seen spiraling out of control in the country. I mean, we had the 2-year-old who was raped in isolation. We had another 7-year-old who was allegedly raped as well by the said stepfather repeatedly. You have in KwaZulu-Natal the matric pupil who returned to go fetch a mask, who was raped on her way home to go fetch her mask from school. I mean, these are issues that have been, you know, coming up on the surge, Kathy, rather concerning, and especially seeing that the latest victims of gender-based violence and rape are actually minors, and the said little 3-year-old girl is currently recovering in hospital. Now, the parents are saying that they haven't really been allowed to see her because of COVID-19. So they normally check in on the little girl by telephonically, and also speaking, of course, to the nurses that are assisting her. But the father says that she is recovering, and she was taken to hospital on Saturday when they discovered the bruises around her private area, and of course on her whole body and her broken hands.
What are the police saying about the release of this man and why he's still out in the streets?
Well, we reached out to Captain Makubele to ask for comment, of course, regarding this matter. And he said to us that if we can give him a bit of time just so he can get information as to find out what exactly happened, and also to find out who was on duty that night, of course, the Saturday where the man was taken into custody. He wants to get more information, but he will get back to Newzroom Afrika and tell us what happened and where the case stands right now.